This first board meeting for our 2020 year and also the first board meeting of the term. Hope everybody's doing well and having a happy new year thus far. We're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. I'm going to ask Supervisor Williams if he'll open us up to pray.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we come before you again, meek and humble as we know how to come. We come thanking you for all of your goodness towards us. We thank you for what you do in the great county of Octavia Hall, the great state of Starksville, the great state of Mississippi. We thank you, O Heavenly Father, for another term to serve the people of Octavia Hall County. We pray, O Father, that you will guide us with wisdom and understanding, that we'll be able to serve well and will be pleasing in your sight. Now, Heavenly Father, we pray for those soldiers who are on foreign soil, and we pray for foreign issues and policies that will keep us safe in the United States. And Father, we pray that you'll be with us and that you will guide our footsteps and guide our decisions. We pray for each one of these board members and their families. This is our prayer. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Williams. We have an agenda. I hope everybody has a copy of it. We'll try to follow our agenda as carefully as we can. If there are any changes, we'll let you know once we get to them. First item of business is the election and the appointment for this year and also, I guess, for this year. We do have a copy of those elections and whatnot in our board packet, and I guess what we can do is we can walk down this list. The first item up for consideration is the election of the board president for the year 2020. What's the pleasure of the board on that matter? Do we have any nominations?
You still comfortable serving?
Oh, man, sir, that's the pleasure of the board.
I move that we'll continue with President Orlando Traynor as board president.
I'd like to have just some discussion about that. I know that we have other people that are interested in serving. I think rotation would be good. I know our vice president has been our vice president for years. Supervisor Montgomery would be interested in serving in that position as well. He has retired from the fire department and has ample time to be able to serve in that position. So I think we ought to consider doing some rotation in the next 4 years of the president's position.
Not a problem. You want to serve this year?
It's up to you.
No,
I wouldn't mind, but there again, like I said, I'm just one. I'm happy in my vice president's position, but you know, the more I thought about it, it wouldn't be a bad idea to consider a rotation.
Okay.
But there again, I'm just one. You know, so.
With that being said, then I'll make a motion that John Montgomery serve as board president for 2020.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Supervisor Miller. Any consideration concerning the motion? All those in favor, let it be known by the appropriate vote second. Motion passed unanimously. Supervisor Montgomery.
Oh, me.
All right. Appreciate it. Floor is yours.
Well, with that being said, I guess I'm the president of the board. Next would be the election of a vice president for the board.
I'd like to make a motion that I'd like to nominate Supervisor Joe Williams, District 5, to be our board vice president.
Anybody else interested? Anybody else? Supervisor Outwood, Supervisor Miller?
Well, I mean, I'm always interested in serving on that, but I'm fine with waiting till the next year. If we want to move forward with Supervisor Williams in that position.
All right. So we've got a motion to put Supervisor Williams as vice.
Would you like to do that?
Yes.
You good with that? Okay. You second?
Second.
You'll second that?
Yes, second, yeah.
Second by Supervisor Howard. All those in favor? Make a motion. Motion carries unanimous. Supervisor Williams, Vice President.
Congratulations, guys.
All right, moving right along, appointments for the board for 2020. We have the requested reappointments, and those individuals came to us previous about their interest in being reappointed. Do we want to do these individually, or do we want to do these as a whole?
Collectively.
I do see one down at the fire coordinator.
Yeah.
You know, that one is sort of in limbo right now. So do we want to pull that one out? It says Kurt agreed to continue until we, okay, so we'll just name him back then.
Well, I don't have anybody in that slot down there. He agreed to continue until we get somebody in.
Okay,
Let him maybe, like we said, maybe let him serve just January.
okay, until we.
So we, you know, that'll be something that in the short term we are gonna tackle.
Okay.
But, I think last month or even November, we said we would keep him in, you know, to January, to the 1st of February.
Okay.
So let's, if it's okay, and I think Kirk would be fine with that, I know he is, let's put him in there just for January, or just reappoint him tentatively until we get a replacement. But that being said, do we want to go individually, do we want to go collectively?
I have a motion.
Motion.
Well, I motion that we reappoint everyone with the consideration that Kirk will be on a temporary appointment.
Okay, that's your
I'll
motion.
second that.
Got a motion and a second. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. Any more discussion on the matter? All those in favor? Motion carries.
I'm gonna abstain from that because I would have liked to have done it individually.
4-0, and Supervisor Miller is going to abstain. Okay. Congratulations to each one of those. And like I said, we'll tackle the fire coordinator in the short term. Acknowledgement of appointments by the county administrator. You see the names here. Need a motion and a second to acknowledge that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Okay. That was good, guys. We got that out of the way. Moving right along from your agenda. Let's see here. I put my agenda, got lost in the shuffle somewhere. All right. We've looked at the approval of the December 19 board orders. Need an approval on that, or is there anyone that wants to make a change to that? Please let us know what you're talking about.
Right, I had a change.
What item
Number 14, on the first set, it should be abstaining, should be the last word on that.
Abstain.
Abstain, yes. And then there was another, 17 should be abstained as well.
Thank you, Supervisor Miller.
All right, let's see, that's it for me.
Number 4, on the second page,
Second meeting or the second?
second page, the first meeting, second page,
Gotcha.
number 4. And I guess that Attorney Robertson, should that be an acknowledgement, acknowledged, or should be no action taken? And that was on Marcy's law. And there's no action taken, or that's, we acknowledge that, or it doesn't matter, I guess is what I'm asking from a legal point of view.
When you acknowledge something, you're just acknowledging that it came before the board, but no action was taken, so
We just acknowledge
you just acknowledged it came.
the endorsement, right?
But no action was
requesting
taken.
that, we acknowledge that.
But
they-
I would prefer on number 4 to put no action was taken.
Yeah, I
just to make
would
it
too,
clear.
because that was something that they expected us to move on one way or the other.
I agree with your thought process on that one.
Okay. So we'll add no action taken on 4. Anything else?
Motion, we approve the minutes with the respective changes.
The date was the 2nd of December. There are no more changes requested. I need a motion and a second to approve these minutes.
He made the motion with
Motion.
changes. I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Miller. All in favor? You good, Supervisor Howard? You good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get preoccupied here, sorry about that.
All right, moving right along, this is citizens' comment period. This is a time when anybody can come up. Yes, ma'am, I see you holding your hand. You've got up to 3 minutes that you can address the
Don't
board.
take it.
All right.
My name is Dora Powers. I live at 387 East Sand Creek Road, which is a gravel road. My covets and my ditch covet, which is large and raggedy and is wasting away. And I do have film, I have videos, and I have pictures of the road. Thank you. If anybody can help us back there.
We got, well, a new culvert. You talking about a
Is that a
culvert or a
911
cross
road?
drain?
It's a covet.
What's the name of the road? Is it a
East.
911 road?
East Sand Creek.
It's
387 East Sand Creek.
East
I'm not
Sand.
talking about the west side. I'm on the east side. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
So her request, we'll certainly get with our road manager on that. Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
State
Yes,
your
ma'am.
name, yes, ma'am.
So my name is Dory Hale. I'm the property manager out at Gin Lake Meadows Manufactured Home Community down East 182. And our address is 185 Gin Lake Drive. And the reason I'm here today is because, you know, we've got some significant flooding concerns when we have events where we have a lot of water in a short period of time around the creek, you know, the county creek that kind of comes through our property. So what I'm looking to do is, one, just kind of understand the county's view on all this right now, and then also try to figure out, I need to figure out a solution for Gin Lake. And one of the things I'm looking at doing is taking some of our property near the creek that's in a low area and building a detention pond. I've got about probably 10 acres there that I may be looking to, hopefully we'll get an engineer out soon to kind of take a look at that. But anyways, thought that might be of interest to the county as well, and I know that I had spoken to Orlando on the phone. And so that's kind of just really why I'm here, is primarily around that issue and trying to figure out a solution. I know it's on private land. Also, I've walked a good bit of that creek looking for blockages going downstream and gone as far as I can get without getting on other people's property and, you know, that sort of thing.
No beaver activity, no.
So, none from where Gin Lake property starts through to where I went, which is well past the Tabernacle Church where 182 crosses. There were some beaver chewy things,
Yeah.
but they were coming from upstream of us, not where we were. So in theory, those beavers are helping us, I guess. But nothing like, you know, where trees had fallen in and crunched it, you know, blocked it up. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at, is just trying to figure out what to do. And then if we do build a detention pond, is there any assistance we can get from DEQ or the county or whatever to help offset some of those costs of us doing it? Because it would probably help others as well, although my primary mission is to help Gin Lake.
Well, I don't know about helping you with the retention ponds now as far as any assistance, but certainly supervisor, trainer, and our road manager could get with you and see, you know, if it's affecting our road, that's where we have
Yep, understand.
some leeway, you know, that certainly I don't mind, or supervisor, trainer, and, or Mr. Baggett getting with you on what we can or can't do.
My kind of current operating theory is that it drains. You know, once the event stops, it drains.
It's just the flash
So when-
floods.
From that perspective, you say, well, creek could be working. But when it's a matter of, that short period of time where it's just too much water for the capacity of that creek to handle, and then what happens in that short period of time, and it's like a tidal wave that comes in on us, so that's why I'm thinking a, short-term detention pond may be, of help there.
Does it normally flood even with a normal rain, or does it take like a gusher to kind of, for you to see?
It's more when you get, you know, if you get 4 inches in
It's a lot of rain.
a period of a few hours, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And the chances are, we won't make it another season without losing a home. So, and I have, you know, video and pictures galore and everything, but the bottom line is it's, I need to get it solved. Cause I'm banking on the fact that the future is gonna be more events rather than less. So,
I think as a county, I'm sorry. we're
What would you like for the county to do? I know you talked about a retention pond, but is that something?
I think technically it would be a detention pond. But for now, I think I'm still kind of in information gathering phase.
It wouldn't hurt
Um,
too to put our, you know, Mr. Johnny, who
Mr.
does
Trainer,
our
I'm
meter
sure.
control, sounds like you do have some activity in that creek.
There's-
I know that
For sure, yes.
upstream may not seem like it's affecting you, but, you know, just kind of take an overall view of it. So the beavers, the ditch,
Right.
you know, the culvert issues if there are any, so.
Yeah, that question kind of, what do I expect the county to do is a good question. I guess, one thing would be, you know, when I went out there on foot going, you know, I can't go on people's private, you know, I don't have the access to go that I would think maybe a government official would have if they were going out there for the purpose of checking that creek to see where blockages were. I have another hypothesis, which I think is probably true, is that back in April of last year, somebody downstream of us probably had a lot of tree damage, and some of those trees went in the creek either because some idiot put them in there, you know, when they cut them down, or just they're in there. But I suspect that there are trees down in that creek but significantly
There's
downstream of this,
debris
and on somebody's
clogging.
private property. And unless somebody with some authority goes in there and says, you can't do that, and you are affecting, you know, 100+ homeowners upstream of you, you know, that's the kind of thing I can't do, but I would hope that the county could help possibly do. I can only control where I can get to on my land, so. That would probably be my biggest ask of the county, would be to get an assessment and identify what is man-caused, what is wildlife-caused along there, and then I think that may help. I think long-term, it's still just gonna be too much water when events occur, and we have to figure out a way to divert that water.
We'll do that. I hate to cut you off.
Yeah, I know, it's all right.
But certainly, before you leave, and Mr. Baggett, he's back there in the back, could you give him your number? And also Supervisor Trainer.
Yeah, Mr. Trainer will take
as
care of it.
well. So,
Okay.
and we'll get you some assistance. What was your number, ma'am, if you don't mind?
So it's, area code 404-796-4152. And my name is Dory, D-O-R-I, at Gin Lake Meadows. And if that means I could get excused from the rest of the meeting, that'd suit me. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Stay in,
Mr. Baggett?
I would suggest that you stay in communication with your supervisor,
Okay.
Mr. Trainer.
And
I will do that.
let me say, couple of little quick things, pertaining to drainage and issues that we're having in Oktibbeha County. We started a conversation toward the end of last year about joining a water district that actually has the authority to go in on private property and open up creeks and remove trees and debris from creeks to ensure the drainage takes place. And another thing that this board has seriously started to discussing is the drainage of our roads, of our ditches, of our replacing culverts and things of that nature, because that's where a lot of problems are taking place. We don't have the drainage issue at hand. We're not on top of it yet like we'd like to, for our roads and our ditches to carry the water away to the creeks, so the creeks can carry it away. So we've had serious conversations over the last 6 months probably about actual drainage in Oktibbeha County and addressing that. So we're aware of we've got issues, but like Ms. Dora now, you know, we can address issues like that pretty quickly. But for the comprehensive long term, you know, we've got some things that we're talking about.
I understand.
Yeah.
We'll look to get you some help for sure, where we can, like I said, so.
Totally understand.
Mr. Trainer's good at that. He normally go out and
You have
take
good
pictures and
ones,
then
so
present it to the
you get out.
board and try to get that resolved. So,
Nothing money can't fix. That's what it's gonna take.
Yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate your time very much.
Thank you.
okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Kevin Kane. I live at 5668 South Montgomery. And Miss Miller, she's my supervisor. Basically, I have about the same problem. What I got is on South Montgomery, on the east side of South Montgomery at a Heritage Colony, the property there was kind of like compromised a little bit. So the water would go on South Montgomery, got two big old covers, about 6 foot, that'll go across the road. So when it got compromised on the east side, now all that water is coming on the west side. And it got a little ditch that run across my property all the way back around to another subdivision called South Ridge. And it come up off of South Ridge. And the county came out a time or two and they said they dug the ditches out on the east side. And then on, I think that's London Street, they put down 2 covers on that lady driveway. To now all that water, when it was going 2 ways, it only going 1 way. And all that water is, when it rains, it can rain 2 inches, 4 inches. I get all that water coming over on me, coming off South Montgomery.
From your east to the west.
It don't drain to the east no more. All the water come to the west, cause South Montgomery run north and south. So when it come down south, instead of it going to the east was compromised by, you know, they put a lot more dirt and stuff in there. So it can't go but 1 way now. See, when it was still trying to go east, they coming in, they dug the ditches out. They said they was gonna clean the ditches out because it was sitting there. And the house that next to, it was a house on down there, it was flooding that house. So by then when they dug that ditch out, they making the water come 1 way. The water is coming over on, it ain't got nowhere else to go but west. And when it come on my property, and there's a couple more houses behind me over on there on South Ridge, I know they get just as much water as I get. I mean, I know it ought to be killing those houses. So what I talked with my supervisor, she had told me that, you know, the same story, that they cannot come on private property. So that's why I was here today, ask them could they come out there and look at it and see what the county can do, because all that water is coming off of off of South Montgomery on me. It ain't something that just started. It's been doing it for years. But since the terrain got compromised a little bit more, then that means that I get more water. You know what I mean? You know progress gonna come. And see, and that's what it is, it's just progress. It ain't nothing that nobody did nothing wrong or nothing like that, but it's like like Mr. Howard said, you know, with the drainage off the ditch, and then the ditches get filled and more water coming. The water just coming out. So I want to see can the county just come out and look at that and see what they can do.
We've addressed that several times, even had the county engineer go out and look, and we can certainly readdress that again. I think part of that problem too is Hollis Creek is back there. And, you know, Hollis Creek is causing a lot of trouble right now, backing all the way up. I mean, it comes all the way up to even Academy Road, you know, when we had that bad flood, it actually went across. So as we move forward and look at getting those creeks cleaned out, I think that's gonna help substantially, because it, even when you go to the end down there in Supervisor Williams' district, in the park down there at the very end of the road, it's flooding as well, and all that's part of, isn't that Hollis
Yeah.
Creek right there?
That's Hollis Creek.
Yeah.
But we definitely will get somebody else to look at it again, Mr. Kane.
Okay, because I was thinking about, you know, that little ditch running out, put some rocks or something in to keep
To
it
slow
from-
it down?
Yeah, to washing it away.
Okay.
Keep from, yeah.
All right.
We'll certainly do that. Kevin, have you got
Yes,
supervisor?
we do.
Yeah, yeah, we spoke, you know, she's been helpful,
Sure.
but you know, it's
It's
just,
just, yeah, it just, these ditches, they require maintenance.
Well, and, you know, a lot of what we're seeing even on Poorhouse Road is the ditches don't need, the creek is what's coming over the banks and filling ditches back the other way. And so that's a different, you know, that's
Different avenue.
different, that's down from, but that's the same thing, that's Hollis Creek. That's the same creek right there on Poorhouse Road, that, you know, it's flooding, it's actually coming over the road. It's not that the ditches have not been dug out, because they have, but the creek is overflowing, and then it's bringing the water back up to the ditches, and he's off of Hollis Creek as well. See, it runs all the way from the city, all the way down, you know, and if you remember, a couple of months ago when it rained so bad and it flooded across even Academy Road, right there, that's still part of Hollis Creek. So we do need to, you know, in the future, look and see what we can do to get that creek cleaned out.
I have a question. The bulk of the water issues that that in each of your districts, there always seems to be a creek that
Stop
seems to
there.
be a culprit in what we're seeing. Is that a fair assessment from what
That's
I'm
right.
Yeah,
hearing?
and I think, I know that it's stopped up, I think,
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
tornado damage, that there's a lot of trees and stuff, like they were saying, that have fallen in the creeks. And, how many years ago was it that the county was in those creek cleaning? But it's been a long time since we got out of that program. So I don't know if that is the right program, or if we could hire somebody individually to do that, but I think if we got the creeks cleaned out and got those excess trees out of there where they could flow, then I think that it would eliminate a lot of the citizens' problems, because the creeks are pushing the water back out.
But as it
They're not
stands right
holding it.
now, we couldn't go, we as a county could not go back onto that private property
Yes, you
without getting,
If it affects the road, you can, and I think it was last year or 2018, gave us a little more leeway. It said if it's affecting the road, then as long as we have right of entry agreement from the
okay, you answered my
landowner,
question. Okay.
then we can.
See, we can get back there. My main thing is to get y'all, if we need to do this, to get us back there to actually do the
I
work.
think the most pressing matter is to address the creek issue. And if we address the creek issues, all the creeks that we're having issues with, and we know Hollis Creek is a major concern, not just to us, but also to the city. That if we address that and go ahead and find out some way to get those cleaned out from all those excess trees, that will help significantly in the drainage issues.
see, my problem is not, it drain out quick, it make a loop, it come down South Montgomery, but it come with so much force, it washing away my property, and then it come back around to the people that on South Ridge, and it hit that ditch, and it goes to Holly Creek. It drained fairly fast, but just with the force of water that coming, it is tearing my property up, because it coming with more force now. It make a loop, it loop around, and it come around to South Ridge, and it drain into Hollis Creek.
And it's
Well,
just
it
a
sounds-
combination
yeah.
of things. In other words, like Supervisor Miller's saying, trees are down, we get a big rain, the leaves, you know what I mean, it mats that up, and then when it blows your ditch out, that material goes somewhere, it's gonna hold up, so we'll,
It sounds like to me, from what you were describing, before we did whatever it was we did on the east side of that road, that even when it rained and the water came south, it would kind of take this left and go east. But whatever we did there now is causing that water not to be able to go east, so it's sort of backing back out
Exactly.
on him and trying to reroute itself now to get back to Hollis Creek. So it sounds like, we just need to go back and reassess what we did over on the east side of the road. That's not allowing that water to come south and then take a left and go out east.
Yeah.
But our road manager is here.
Well, actually, can we have, our county engineer can address it right now for a second. Can you share what we've done so far, or you don't want to? Huh? Okay, all right, sounds good.
All right, then.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
all.
you, Kevin.
All right.
Is anyone else?
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Ms. Peggy.
I'm Peggy Rogers, live here in Starkville. I came this morning because I wanted to congratulate all of the officials, county officials, for the re-election and for the election this morning. I look forward to working with each of you in 2020. We had a really good year in 2019, especially on Longview Road. I have shouldered on an extra layer of patience so that we can get the Longview Road done, and I'm looking forward to the completion of that. I also want to mention to you about the talking water in the creek. It's very, very badly needed to being clean. I look forward to working with you and just wanted to come this morning to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peggy. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, come on.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
My name is Candy Creasing. I live down the street and around the corner off of Whitfield Street, 9 Middleton Court. I believe that's District 1, the new president of the board's district. I'm coming with a spirit of appreciation and an attitude of gratitude. I come as executive director of Your United Way of North Central Mississippi this morning. We have just completed our annual United We Feed drive, and I wanted to find different venues to be able to express our appreciation. And what better ways but through the Board of Aldermen and our County Board of Supervisors, because you're the ones that are going to be going back out in the neighborhoods and you can express our appreciation. This year we cover 4 counties, Webster, Winston, Choctaw, and Octavia. Octavia alone, we had 26 tons of food gathered for our United Feed. Overall it was 32 tons. You can pass those around. I just want, and for everyone in here, any of you all that stop by one of our grocery stores or one of our drop-off boxes, Sheriff Gladney had one at the Sheriff's Department. We want to tell you thank you, what good neighbors you are. And this is just to up your spirits and realize what good, strong neighbors we have around us. I worked at the Valves one day on Highway 12. This lady comes in, she says, I need just as much help. I do go to one of the food pantries, but she said, there's someone else in more need than I am, and gave me a can of beans. Then there was the gentleman at Kroger's who said, what would you do if I brought you some food out? I said, I guess I'll dance a jig for you. Well, needless to say, he comes out not with 1 cart, not 2 carts, but 3 carts. And he says, I want a jig for cart. So, but I just wanted to express to y'all, look around you. You have good neighbors, strong neighbors, and we're so blessed to be in such a county, such a region, and coming into 2020 when you're out there trying to address the issues of the day, and oh my gosh, do we have issues. Just look around and go, you're one of our good neighbors. So thank you so much. We're getting ready for our big United We Read. Last year, again, Good Neighbors donated over 6,000 books that we turned around and redistributed for free 5,500 of them. Last 5 weeks, we've already received another 4,000 ready for 2020. So we reach people of all ages with our books. So thank you so much, and I know y'all are going to represent us all well in this coming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing that there are no more, we're going to move right along to assessment changes. Mr. Morgan.
Good morning. Happy morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Should have in your packet here or have some assessment changes I'd like to present to the board for approval.
You see those in the packet? I've got a motion by Supervisor Miller for those changes.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Howard. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Al. You can sign these and I'll get those back to you.
Thank you, board.
Yes, sir. Okay. Everything going good down in the tax office?
Everything great, we rolling. Busy.
Helped you out a little bit down there.
Yes, sir, appreciate it. Thank y'all, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, moving right along, ARC project, Mr. Cunningham, Neil Schaefer, and Miss Benson. Always a pleasure, Miss Phillips.
Good morning.
Good morning.
John and I come to you this morning to discuss once again the construction of the elevated tank in North Star Industrial Park. I'd like to remind you that this is being funded with a $1 million grant from the Appalachian Regional Commission, and it's being matched with $667,000, which is being provided by the city and the county from the bond money. In this project, you have a construction line item of $1,486,000. With that being said, I'm going to let John give you an overview of the bids that were received.
Thank you, Phyllis. I've handled the design on this project for Neil Schaefer and City and County's behalf. We did take bids on the project December 4th. We only had 2 bidders that got their bid in on time, Landmark Structures and Caldwell Tanks. They were in excess of $2.5 million, which is roughly $1 million out of budget. So it came in pretty high, a lot higher than expected. We did visit with some of the bidders and go through some, reasons why things may have come in as high as they did. Some of those items that I put in the bid evaluation here, they've had some increases on steel prices over the last year. Of course, we've been trying to get this project going more than a year, I would say, for this week. And so that's been a factor. It appears that the workload of these tank contractors is pretty heavy, and we had 400 days of completion time on the contract. They were asking, hey, could you make that more? So that might be something we can kind of do to look at for some reasons for potential cost savings. Some of the ag stone in our area is higher than what some of these contractors are used to. And this is, let me say this too, that this is a composite elevated water tank. Like you see it, the Oklahoma out in Brown County Industrial Park, where you've got concrete pedestal with a steel tank bowl. So it's a unique type of construction. But of course, we had the way this designed with the city's water system, and they'll be taking maintenance over the tank once it's installed. It's pretty far out, and to make this work and make the tank turn over water like it should, we had to put the tank design at about 200 feet, which is high for an elevated water tank. So that's a factor too. Electrical, we keep seeing increases in electrical costs all the time, so that was a factor as well. And again, going back to the way we had to set the design up to operate on the city's system. And what we knew at that time, so as far as, again, how it operates, as far as internal piping, supply piping, discharge piping, and control valves, that added to some of the costs as well. So with that said, we also learned some news facts from the city on they've been going through a hydraulic study on their water system for a while now, and we've learned some things that might could change things the way we designed it to begin with. And so some of these items we mentioned, we feel like there are some potential savings. Go back and revisit the design, and maybe put it back out on the market, see if we can get some better pricing coming in. So to move in that direction, since the funding for the ARC is coming through the county and that sort of thing, we need to, have the county consider rejecting all bids at this time, and we can revisit the design and get it back out on the market, maybe get some better pricing.
You got any idea of what type of timeline you're talking about with your redesign?
I'd say 30 to 45 days.
Okay. And the reason I was asking, that's not then gonna interrupt any potential industry that might be coming, you know?
I don't think so, because, you know, right now with the way that the city's system is set up right now, you can serve it, you know, as far as any demand on their system, as far as, direct demand off the water line.
Mhm.
And so, and it'd be, of course, the tank's gonna help out significantly, but it shouldn't deter anything from that side.
So I was gonna ask that question, in other words, the tank itself and the city's system, the water capacity in those lines, that's not an issue. So, anyone else have any comments, questions for me?
Yeah, I have, will you advertise locally,
Yes.
regional or national?
Well, it'll go out nationally, local, regional, and national, so it'll be the same. And these companies that did this, one's in, well, we had three, one didn't come in in time, but, they're in Texas and Indiana, and then, Kentucky. So they work all over the place, so
There are a limited number.
Yeah.
We
It's
see
kinda
them
like what-
repeatedly when we do elevated tanks.
well drillers are the same way.
Yeah.
There is one thing I'd like to mention. There is a possibility that we could go back to your funding agency and see if we can get some more money. I've had an informal conversation with the ARC office in Tupelo, and while it won't make up the difference, there is a possibility that we could get a couple of $100,000.
I'll make the motion for her to
Sure.
readdress that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, to sort of talk us through this, I'm looking at the list of things that you said might be driving the cost up. And just looking, the one I see immediately is the completion, timeline completion. You can stretch that out, but the rest of it, I mean, what are you maybe seeing in here that proposing changing,
Well, the $300,000, $100,000 right there on the last two items on the piping scheme and the control valve.
Mhm.
That's what I was referring to on the hydraulics with the water, city's water system, some of the things that come to light on that. It's gonna be what I'm gonna focus on a lot. And then we're probably gonna try to whittle the site footprint down for the tank area. And maybe look at the materials as far as, some of the entrance materials, drive materials, and the site pad, the way we finished it out. So maybe, like I say, whittle that down a little bit more, maybe cut down on some of that.
We got a motion on the floor by Supervisor Miller for Ms. Phyllis to go explore any more funding, ARC funding, any, you know, explore all options, and I know you do.
Okay.
And Supervisor Trainer seconded that, so we need to make a motion or take a vote on that. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. And then you're saying the second part of that, we need to bid these bids, and then we'll
Consider action on rejecting all bids.
So we need to reject these.
Reject the project.
Supervisor Miller's motion, second by Supervisor Howard. All
I
those in
do have a
favor?
question.
Sure.
Question. In the redesign, do you have an idea how much the redesign is gonna be? Are you gonna give us a price on the estimated cost? Well, this look like the only thing that we're gonna incur some additional costs with this
Well,
redesign.
I know we did some, with the way this project is taking as long as it has, going through some environmental, impacts that we had to get through and all, I think one time we did a little increase on some of the engineering back then. And I hadn't looked at that directly, but I'm thinking we're gonna have a little cushion in there for that, to take care of this, try to make it work through all that.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else? Any more discussion? All those in favor to reject those bids, unanimous 5-0. And now we need to seek advertisement for new bids on this, make publications in the paper. We make 3 publications over the next 30 days.
Do we need to wait till the new design or go ahead?
Yeah, we need to
Wait
get
for
that
that.
out of the way and probably come back to the board, approve it for advertising, re-advertise.
We'll wait for you. Look forward to what you bring to us from that. So we certainly appreciate being upfront with us on this, and you know, because we can't just go that far over the budget for sure. Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Anything
Okay.
else?
Can I mention one other thing?
Yes, you may.
We have discussed in the past applying for community development block grant funds. MDA has not yet set their application workshop, but we do suspect it will be before the end of January, with applications once again being accepted in May. Because you do not have an open grant, you are eligible. I'd like to remind you that eligible activities have to be publicly owned infrastructure, water, sewer, bridges, water, sewer, drainage, public buildings, ADA improvements, things of that nature, and at least 51% of the people have to be of low to moderate income. So keep that in the back of your mind.
Would a siren, to replace the siren on for Sturgis for tornado warning, would that?
That is, the minimum grant size is $100,000 and the maximum grant size would be $600,000. Warning sirens are not eligible activities with the way the state of Mississippi has set up the CDBG program. You have to remember that at least 51% of the people benefiting have to be of low to moderate income.
What about, Ms. Phyllis, we're in discussion about some needs in our health department. What about that?
Publicly owned building.
Yes.
I mean, this is something that would reach the whole county, in other words. And we may need as a board to have a workshop on that discussion as well, that versus you're hearing these drainage issues, so.
Okay.
Do you need the same thing, do you need, and how would that, because I know you need signatures, like 80% of signatures of the people that it affects. You did the health department, how would that play?
Health department, we would have to look at the overall population of Oktibbeha County, which at the last time I looked exceeded the minimum threshold. Now by a lot, no, but it did meet the minimum threshold of 51% low mod.
It did?
It did.
Okay.
But I'll need to revisit that because that changes annually. That is
Moving them, sure.
It is.
But could the health department not be the people, the customers that it has seen over the years?
There's been some debate because in years past we have counted caseload and it's on health departments and welfare offices. But I think that the state of Mississippi has come to the conclusion that we have to consider the overall population because you can't discriminate who can go and who can't.
Sure.
I mean, it's open to all citizens, so I'll look into that for you.
Can you get back with us the same time when you
I will.
come back with us?
I will, and maybe by then we will have attended the workshop and we'll have the final statement which will outline the rating factors for this next year. So I know it sounds as though it may be a little preliminary for me to bring this to you, but at the same time, you know, from now until the middle of May sounds like, oh, that's eons away, but the reality of it is it'll be here before you know it, considering the amount of information that has to be gathered. So I just wanted you to begin to think about it. I'll do a little bit of research because it's been several years since we've done public buildings. And I don't know how they're going to fall in the rating system this year. Water and sewer have been and probably always will be number one projects, which will get you the most points, but, I'll look into it. Okay? All right, one other thing. Once again, the Mississippi Association of Planning and Development Districts will be hosting their annual conference at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi, April the 28th through May the 1st. And a lot of good information can be gathered at this conference, so I'm going to leave these save the date cards on the table for you. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you all so much. All right. Moving right along, request for payments first, Mr. Wood.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's my understanding that at the beginning of every term, both the Chancery and the Circuit Clerk have to come before the board to ask the board to consider the employer's portion of PERS payments up to the statutory maximum for that 4-year term. I was here 2 years ago and did the same thing, and you graciously approved it, and I'm back again to ask you to consider doing the same thing.
Motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead and include the Chancery Clerk in that with it.
Yeah.
So,
Can we put that, is everyone okay with putting that amendment in there?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Court Services, Community Counseling, Ms. Nicholson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Good morning.
I have brought with me.
Would you like to sit down? Pull your chair up.
Oh, sure.
Sir.
You can pull a
You
chair
can
up?
pull your chair up right over here. Be careful.
Yeah, I didn't want to knock that thing over. I have brought Mr. Ron DeLoach with me to talk about our I-Court services. In July, we received a grant from the Department of Mental Health for an intensive community outreach and recovery team. And this is going to target individuals in our community who are constantly hospitalized, repeatedly, committed, things like that. We're able to spend a very extended amount of time with these individuals in the community, and pretty much the goal of it is to keep them in the community, to keep them stable, to help prevent the continued hospitalizations, the continued commitments through the Chancery Clerk. If they need medication, things like that, to help them get it. We're able to serve individuals who don't have insurance because it's a grant, so we're really hoping that over the course of, especially this grant year, that we'll be able to kind of reach some of those individuals that kind of fall through the cracks on a regular basis. Ron is actually the team leader. We have a master's level therapist, we have a community support specialist, we have a peer support specialist, and we have a registered nurse. So along with meeting the mental health needs, we're also going to be able to help with the medical stuff that a lot of times complicates, some of these individuals who are constantly, having issues and stuff. I'm going to pass out some flyers for y'all in our brochures, and I'm going to let Ron tell y'all a little bit more about it.
Yeah, my colleague, Paul is the peer support. Rante, she's the community support, and right there, the nurse. And the state of Mississippi has a big problem with admission to the state hospital. And just last year, the feds sued the state of Mississippi because they were saying that the state of Mississippi is not doing enough to keep individuals out of the state hospital. They're not doing enough community, within the communities to keep them out of the hospital. So they came up, the Department of Mental Health and Community Counseling and the region mental health facilities came up to try to solve this problem. And so what we do is we go within the homes. We provide the same services that they would be getting if they was in a facility. We go in, we have to spend at least 2 hours a week at the minimum. 2 visits a week at the minimum. But the goal is whatever it takes to keep them out the hospital. So if we have to go in 5 times a week, we go in, whatever it takes. We on call 24/7, and so the goal is to keep them out the hospital, and that's what we're doing. And just to give an example of a couple of them, and we only been doing this since October 1st, and we have like 7 families that we're working with right now. And one of them, he's been in and out of the state hospital for years and years, group homes,
And so traditional outpatient services has not been working. That's when we come in. So at this point, last week, we went to this individual home. His mom is in the hospital. So for about 7 days, he's been at home by himself, taking care of the house. Matter of fact, he has a brother that lives in Atlanta. And the brother called to check on the mom, and the brother was in tears, saying that, Mom, this is the first time in 20 years that me and my brother was able to have a conversation like that. So that just, and we have other, we see progress, but that's just one example. So this for the citizens too. If you guys see anyone that has these mental health issues, contact community counseling. We're in 7 counties. We Region 7. We're in 7 counties, and we go out. So the bulk of it is that we're trying to reduce the admissions to the state hospital.
Well, and one of the good things too is we don't necessarily have to take referrals from like internally. Ms. Sharon, y'all can send us referrals. You know, we can get referrals from the jail and from the county. If they're not a client of community counseling, we can very easily, you know, get them to become a client of community counseling, because one of the, I think the biggest parts that's good with this grant is they don't have to have a payer source. And so if they don't have insurance, if they don't have income, if they don't have anything like that, not only can we still see them, but we can kind of work with them. If there's somebody who has been, you know, denied benefits, we can at least help them fill out paperwork and things like that to try to see if there's anything we can do to assist them with having some of those things taken care of.
So if we have a family that comes in that we're constantly repeating, we can, instead of doing the paperwork, we can.
Well, if they're not stable and they need to go in the hospital to become stable, let's do that first. And then once they get out, the best way to do it is to get them at their most stable point, because if they're at a point where they need to be in state hospital, we can't stabilize them. We do have a psychiatric nurse practitioner that is going to be working hands-on with us, but we do have all of our other physicians in the clinic that we will be working with as well. We can serve 45 people in our 7 counties. Like Ron said, we have about 7 right now. We can take 5 admits a month according to what the grant regulations are. So we're really hoping this is going to tackle some of those individuals in our community that haven't been able to get the resources that they need, and us be able to like tag team and get it.
Say that again. You said you can take on 5 more per month?
Yes, we can do
Up to
5
45.
admits. Yes, up to 45. So they only, you know, even though we only have 7, the most we can take a month is 5.
What do they need to do to qualify? I mean, would they need to
Have
you come to?
just make, you can call me, our phone number is on there. Really the only thing that they need in order to qualify is to have a serious mental illness and, you know, repeat.
Documented.
But one thing is that since we have to provide 75 to 85% of this services within their homes, their natural setting. So one thing is if they have a violent history, we can't take them.
Yeah.
And if they're primary, not secondary, but if their primary is substance abuse, then we can't take them. But if their primary is mental health with a secondary of substance abuse, they do qualify. And sometimes, you know, within the next month or so, we want to come by and do an in-service over there so we can be a little bit more specific with some of these things. And another thing too, we do not have a time frame. It's not like 6 months, they're gone, 2 months. It's till we feel like they're appropriate and can maintain stability within their community.
We just wanted to make sure that y'all are aware that, of course, anybody can refer. We're working with state hospitals. We're working with, you know, Baptist and Alliance. We have an intensive community support specialist that does regular visits to the different hospitals, and Ron and the ICORP team are going to be going with them so that he can, you know, make contacts with them as well. So. And
we have a MAP team meeting, what is called making a plan, once a month. And we need a representative. We try, because at that meeting, it's just like this. You have different agencies, organizations, you know, at that meeting, tell them what they can and do for individuals. And, you know, within your, you know, district, if you, whatever going on in the district, someone at the meeting can give you information on how you can contact different people. If they're homeless, if they're drug abuse, you know, sexual abuse, whatever. You have a lot of organizations and agencies at these meetings, and I think the one here in Hall County this month is the 29th.
It's always the third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday. It's always the third Wednesday of the month, but this month, since the holiday, she moved it back to the 29th. But after then, it'll be back to the third Wednesday.
Where's the meeting held?
It's at our office in our conference room if you're interested. 11:30. We just wanted to make sure that y'all were aware and for y'all to have that information and just kind of let y'all know other things that we're trying to do in the community to offer some assistance and some resources for our individuals.
You do a great job.
Thank y'all so
I didn't realize
much.
what you did till I took the tour. But, and this is even better. Thank you so much.
We're hoping it's something they're going to continue. It's the first time we've ever had this grant. It's the first time it's being offered in the state of Mississippi. There's only one other I-Court program in the state, so we're really hoping this is something they're going to continue with so that we can serve these individuals. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you all.
Moving right along, road manager's report, Mr. Baggett.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning. Good morning.
Congratulations and thank you for reappointing me.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Everybody, does everyone have a copy of the report?
Anybody got any questions, comments, concerns before we approve the road manager's report?
Well, yes, I just have a question about debris that's in ditches and in covers. I know the board asked that debris not be just taken out of the covers, but also be taken out and removed, rather than taken out and putting on the bank side. Because putting on the bank side will only amount to it's flowing back in the covers at the next rain that comes about. Do we have the capacity to remove some of the debris that's stopping up the covers? I know we're unstopping covers, but we're not resolving the problem. In other words, we're just temporarily taking care of the problem. But how can we move forward and actually remove some of that debris from roadsides?
Well, we have the capacity to move some of it. I don't know how much we're talking about.
We're talking about leaves, basically, that's stopping up.
Yeah.
A lot of that stopping up is leaves.
Well, during the wintertime, the crews can do it. During the summertime, when we're constructing roads, though, it's gonna be difficult for us to do it, and the only way to do it would be to hire 3 or 4 men and let them clean them out and haul it off.
My request would be that we make sure that we're using the electronic system. I know that I'm calling in a lot of work orders, and I'm not seeing them come through the system electronically. And I end up calling back to see, so I ask that we go back to using that system and then also market them that they're completed, and that way we understand, we know. I also am gonna start using an email to track better, because I feel like that I am calling in ample work orders and I'm not seeing them come through, on the electronic system. What is the process on that when we call in a work order? Do you approve it before they actually put it in the system?
No, they put it in the system and I approved it, and we put them all in. Now, whether or not you get them, I don't know what happens with that. On occasion, one might slip through, but not many. We send them all through the electronic system. We didn't stop using the electronic system.
Maybe that system needs to be upgraded. I still see a former employee's name come through on some of the emails. I don't know what makes that happen. Do you all see that? So, I don't know whether that system needs to be updated or.
I'll check on it. It should be up to date, but I'll check on it.
I just know when we first started using it, when we first adopted it, 4 years ago, that, we would get multiple every day emails on and now sometimes we go days without seeing, I do, without a work order for your district or my district, you know, or any district. You might get 2 or 3, so I'm just wanting to make sure that we are using the electronic system. I like the system because I think it gives me the opportunity to track what's going on during that month for the road department and those requests that those citizens are making. And if it's not on there electronically, there's no way for us to track them and get back to the resident until we get the report at the end of the month.
No, we'll send them through electronically now. Sometimes an email might not go through or something, because on my telephone, I can't send text on my county phone and all. But no, every work order that we get, we put it through the system. Otherwise, we could not generate this report.
I think if it's been 4 years, you know, software has to be updated pretty frequently. So if we hadn't updated the software in 4 years, it might be time to
We
do
do
some
update the
updates.
software, when it's time to update it after they close in the afternoon, Obie goes
Updates.
in and Scott, I think, goes in and updates the software, so
Okay,
it's been,
okay.
I know
It
it's
stays
been
up.
updated twice this past year.
Okay.
It would be interesting to go back even on this, just in 1 month.
I'm sure he
And
can pull
compare, he
triggers.
can pull, you could hand him this book and he could go back and compare with the emails that are coming through. Because some of this is just miscellaneous that's coming off of, in this book, that's coming off of probably just a daily work request. It's not actually the work orders that the supervisors are producing, you know.
I can see if I can get him to, if we can pull a log of triggers.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to follow up on my original concern. You did state that we could hire additional personnel to be able to remove some of the leaves and other debris. Now, my primary concern is, do we have the machinery to be able to do that?
Well, it's, yeah, you have to go out there with a rake and rake it up and a shovel and pick it up and throw it on the back of a truck.
Small arms there, I think, what Supervisor Williams is saying is, in other words, it's right on the edge of the culvert. When it rains again, it will go back in there. I would just say, hey, guys, spread that out, put it down, you know, stream from it up, I mean, off the back side of the ditch. I'm good with that. Has anybody got any other?
Well, I was just, a lot of the main conversation has been with drainage issues. And you know, there are several aspects to drainage issues, and one of them Supervisor Williams is talking about is the leaves. You know, you might go by and throw them out a little bit in the rain, it washes them back. One of the problems with that is our ditcher. You know, we've got an old ditcher, it doesn't work real well, it doesn't have much pressure. Now, when it's working properly, you can go down through the ditch and it throws it way out in the woods. The old leaves and stuff throws it way out in the woods. Well, this one we got, the pump's not strong, so it's really not helping. That's one of the issues. The other issue is what we've been talking about, and I was going to ask you if you're working on, you know, you and I have talked a little bit about developing some sort of comprehensive drainage plan going forward, and a comprehensive equipment plan that's going to help us sort of accomplish those goals. So if we, you know, again, I think we all recognize that we've got some issues with drainage. I do know the couple of roads that I've had done in my district where we went through and completely put all new culverts and cross drains and everything. I don't have that issue with those roads anymore, because what's happening now is we've got good drainage, so it's blowing those leaves and everything on through those culverts and on. So that's a lot of it. A lot of it is, you know, you're not really solving a problem if you jump in the middle of a road and unstop a culvert right there. Because what's gonna happen, once it go through that one and go to the next culvert, it's right back. You got the same issue. So I think we need to come up with some sort of comprehensive type drainage plan to sort of start addressing these, along with some of the other things we've been talking about, maybe joining this water district. that, you know, that they can go on these creeks and take out debris and stuff like that. Again, we've got a lot of issues with grown over outlets. You know, we used to have outlets along the roads that would sort of bleed the water off the road. Well, a lot of those outlets has grown up now. We need to go back in and address opening those outlets. I mean, it's just several things, you know, it's not one thing you can go really pinpoint.
Well, for instance, and like what Supervisor Howard's saying, PD Fulton Road's a prime example. I went down PD Fulton Road, and that road was in bad shape, and I had to resurface that road. $65,000 worth of 65 in the road itself. The road didn't last. You know, my predecessor before me, he took care of that road. The ditches had filled up, the culverts had failed, and that was the problem. I noticed when it rained, that's what was breaking the road down. And so went in there, put in $3,000, I think, worth of culverts and cross drains, then did the road. And I know now, I feel now that road will last a lot longer because of taking care of those issues before we resurfaced it. So I don't have a problem, like Supervisor Howard saying, to go, you know, let's get on a pattern and go, let's take this care of this road, take care of that road, and be fair amongst the districts. You know, go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however we want to do it, instead of, like he's saying, you know, piecemeal and doing one here, one there. Because the kind of ground we have in Oktibbeha County, it just silts back in a fairly short period of time. So that's the way in the long term how to fix our roads.
Well, and when it says on this report culvert clean out, I'm gonna use shop B, and it says on one day they cleaned out all the culverts on Sturgis West Point Road, I'm assuming because there's no numbers beside it. Pleasant Ridge, Louisville, Morgantown, McKenzie, Craig Springs, and Silver Ridge Road. So on one day they went down and did all 6 of those roads and cleaned out every culvert, or they cleaned out one culvert.
Well, that's what they said. And to go and to get in a truck, and what they define as cleaning out a ditch or cleaning out a culvert is different than what we're talking about here. When they said they cleaned out all the culverts, what they did was it had just stopped raining, because otherwise they wouldn't have been cleaning out culverts. It had just stopped raining, and they went down through that, and if a culvert was stopped up, they unplugged it and allowed the water to go through. It doesn't mean they went too off.
So that doesn't mean that they cleaned out every culvert, they just stopped at the ones that were stopped up.
That means they cleaned out every culvert that
was needed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I have a couple things. And on Longview Road, you know, and Miss Peggy keeps us on our toes, and I'm glad for that. But seriously, right there where Rogers Road and Longview Road, the road needs grading ASAP. I mean, also down Longview Road, and I'm appreciative for the, you know, the contractors that have come through there. They've taken down a lot of big pine trees. But we need, on our end, to see what we can do on the ditches where it's kind of blocked some things. But then also, we may need to see some cross drains that those subcontractors have kind of run over, clogged up. And I hate to say hold them responsible, but see what they may have done to, between Horsley and Oliver Jackson, there's a couple of spots right there on Longview Road that are, I think they crushed the end of a cross drain or two.
I think we probably need to check the contract on that. I think, yes, grading, I think that other stuff falls upon.
And that would be, yeah, like Supervisor Miller saying, check the contract on that. It may be something you need to get with Miss Emily on, to see what's their realm and what's in our realm.
Well, they're supposed to maintain the road if they're constructing it until they're done, until the final is done, and they turn it back over to the county.
Yeah, it's there, but I do know, close to Highway 25, you know, I almost got my fishing pole out yesterday. I mean, it's pretty bad, and granted, it comes from doing the work on that road. It's a under construction, but you know, for safety purposes, let's check that out. Also, Longview Adenton Road, on the paved part, I do have some, because of the recent rain, I got some washouts there. They're pretty bad. So if anybody else has anything for the road manager before we
Yeah.
approve them, go ahead and listen.
It's an ongoing problem with the Chapel Hill Road. We have talked about the contractor, whose responsibility was it to develop drainage ditches on that road. The contractor never did come back and do what they should have done. I think you all did some of the work to clear up some of the drainage problems. I know you did.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on that road.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on it. Now, either the county is gonna go back and spend some additional time on that road. And reason being is that the water now is running on top of the road. There are places where debris and dirt buildup, soil buildup, ditches should have been created that wasn't created. Someone is gonna have to resolve those problems. I guess you can do what you can do. What you can't do, we go back to Miss Emily and we get it, and we get in touch with Clyde, I'm sorry. We get in touch with Clyde and he get in touch with the contractors and have them to develop those, improve the drainage area. Cause that is really a bad situation. If you drive down that road, there's water that's running on top of the road rather than running down the road itself.
Yeah, and the road department can fix it. The only thing about it is gonna tie the road department resources up on that one road. We won't be able to go to other roads and clean ditches and do other things that we need to do in that area. I mean, and so.
But we got some downtime now,
Are you
though.
talking money or we're talking manpower?
Manpower, basically.
Manpower, but now, when the supervisor call and say, okay, this ditch needs to be cleaned out, that ditch needs to be cleaned out, and we tied up on this one road, then, I mean, that's where we are.
We do have to be tied up.
And what we mentioned to y'all before, and from talking to Clyde, when we bid these projects, it would possibly be a good idea for the supervisors to approve and sign off on a project before it goes to bid. Because in many cases, y'all think something's in there for the contractor to do, and it's not. It's not in there, so.
And I guess that was my concern.
And I think
I
in
didn't
your
know
case,
what-
that was not in the contract.
That's what I was thinking, it was not in the contract.
So I do recommend that the supervisors approve contracts before they're put out for bid.
Yeah. So then, we're not asking that you tie up manpower. We asking that when you have some downtime, that you address some of those issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, one other thing, and I almost forgot about it. In other words, last year, and I guess it'd be the year before that, we paved some roads. We had this bond issue, and there's some intersections, and just, if you would, just the roads that we did, like in Westland Heights in my district, John High Road, John White Road, and like Oakwood Drive, off of New Light and Old 12, Ridgewood Drive. Just anywhere that we resurface those roads, those rocks that have come off, especially the intersections, if we could take really just one man or maybe two, because you have to have one person watch for traffic. Those intersections, they do need to be swept off, just countywide. So that would be in everyone's districts. But if you can get a list of those roads and just get on a pattern, start sweeping those intersections, and where the rock has accumulated.
Yeah.
It would help out. Other than that, I need a motion and a second to approve.
Can I add just two things? On Poorhouse Road, before the construction, they had started putting the larger speed bumps down, but they didn't put all of them. And the ones that are larger, you can really tell the difference. So I'm gonna ask that we finish replacing the larger speed bumps. They only, before you get to the intersection of Poorhouse and Old 25, they only put one set of the rumble strips down because of construction project. So I asked that we go back and put the rest. Some of them are real small, so you can't really fill them, but you can definitely tell the difference from the large, the higher rumble strips. And then on the culverts I've noticed in, my district that are being put in now, they're not putting topsoil or something on the ends of it. I know like that big culvert that we put in on Craig Springs Road, there was no topsoil put on the ends of it, or riprap. I understand riprap costs a little more, but it's already washing away. So we're putting the culvert in, but we're not finishing off on the ends. And of course, when that washes in the ditches and silts it full. So I would like to request that we pay a little more attention to the culverts that are being put in. Even if they just use the topsoil from, that's what some former employees used to do, and make sure those ends were packed. They didn't use the riprap, but they did use topsoil to make sure they wouldn't wash away.
You wanna make a motion for that?
Well, just those two things need to be addressed, you know.
Other than that, any more?
Take under consideration a request from Ms. Powers on East Sand Creek, if you will, investigate that and give me a recommendation on what you.
I will.
Yes, well, I sent you an email last week pertaining to 2 addresses that you should give me some information about whether or not we can move forward with that or not. Would you review those emails and get back in touch with me?
It's on Lawson Road.
Lawson Road, that's right. Would you get
Yes,
back
I
in
will.
touch with me on that? Okay.
I've got one question, just, I don't know if you can answer this or if you got a solution. But when we're patching potholes, and I know when we patch small ones, you know, we sort of just put some asphalt in. But when we get a larger one, pretty deep, it's not holding up when we patch it. Is there anything we can do, like maybe sort of what we do with our roads when we're building them? Soil cement up to a certain point, mix a little cement, and I thought Mr. Pritchard was in here somewhere.
He was.
But, I was wondering if there's anything we
that's
can
good
do like that, maybe
recommendation.
mix our little cement with our red clay up to a certain point, and then asphalt that pothole to maybe help it stay. And I know it's an uphill battle trying to keep these potholes.
Yeah, in the summertime, it's not gonna be a problem because it's hot. In the wintertime, when we can't get that pothole patcher out, like the one particular one on the road that we patched for you.
Yeah.
Like that day it was
kinda
too
late.
cold, and we couldn't get the machine out. But when we can get the machine out, that's not a problem. But just to answer your question, yes, that can be done.
Okay.
I mean, we
Maybe
just
we'll
dump
consider
some.
doing a couple of them, see how
Okay.
they hold up there.
We've loaded his wagon now, but I do need a motion in a second.
So move.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams, to accept the road manager's report. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-1. Thank you, Mr. Bagley.
Thank you.
All right. Chancery clerk business, Ms. Livingston.
Well, we took care of one thing that I had, and then the other thing I've got, we didn't have a CD for the month of December, and the funds will remain at Citizens at the 2.819%.
Motion for acknowledgement.
Yes, acknowledge. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard, to acknowledge Ms. Livingston's request. All those in favor? Motion carries. Ms. Emily, County Business Administration.
You see the funds remaining at Citizens.
Got payroll changes in the packet. Any discussion on those? If not, I need to.
Motion for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. All those in favor? Any discussion?
I'm a yes, except employee number 1008.
Okay. All right, so do we want, being that that's the case, do we want to do this one separately?
And she can take the next
Just
minutes, it
okay.
doesn't matter.
She accepts all but employee 1008.
Motion.
Motion carries.
No, it wasn't a motion.
Or, excuse
Yeah,
me.
we had a motion.
Motion to accept all.
Motion was to accept all of them, so at this point,
Yeah, you're gonna have,
She
you're gonna
voted.
have to do it separately if she's not gonna vote for one of them.
Okay, well then I tell you, all except 1008. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous on that. Now dealing with employee 1008, all those, need a motion in a second.
I move we accept payroll change.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer. All those in favor?
Oh, no.
41
The 2020 holiday schedule in your packet, I need an order to approve those, along with any additional days that the governor gives.
Need a motion in a second for that?
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous on that.
Next line is the second quarter budget allocations for the sheriff, the jail, and the tax office.
Motion for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Motion carries unanimous.
I've had a company contact me about doing a phone bill audit, and, I wrote the terms in here for you, prior bills, so you get 50% of recovery. And for the first 12 months, so future bills, they'd get 100% of the savings. We have done this before, but it's been probably around 2005, I believe, the last time we did it. And we're probably in need of it again.
This is not something that would be included with our current Watkins Ward and Stafford, that they.
This company comes in and they go and check for the rates, and they go and make sure we're not getting paid any taxes that,
And what is it called? What is it called?
They would charge, we'd get 50%, they'd look at the back bills, and they'd take 50% of the savings, and we'd get 50% of the savings.
So it's not really costing us anything. It could
Then,
benefit us a little bit.
Yeah, and for the next 12 months, they would get 100% of the savings, and then after that, they get nothing, and we get all the savings.
But the first time,
It's 50% on any bank bills that they get. It's a good deal, it's just,
well, I just wonder if they don't save it to that second time and they get 100%. Surely, I mean, do they guarantee that they address it all on the first?
yes.
When we get 50 of it?
Yes, it's all the bank bills from that point, and the 100% is going forward
If they get 100%.
of the savings. the first.
For a year.
How long's the contract have to be?
Well, it's just for the 12, so I guess it's 12 months
Okay, so they're gonna do all the bills, and then we're gonna get 50% of that,
of the bank bills.
of the back bills. And then anything else they find moving forward, they're gonna get 100%.
For the first year.
Then we get 100% after
That,
that.
I know.
In perpetuity after that.
The second page gave us a list of some counties that have done well
Yeah.
with them.
As I said, we've done it before in the past, 2005, and it did save the county money, and I do think it would benefit us right now.
Well, it's not costing us anything.
No.
Well, that does clear it up a little bit for me.
Me too.
Yeah,
That
we
was
need
my
a
question.
motion in a second to approve that.
And-
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Miller. All those in favor? Motion carries. That is a good thing to get cleared up. Sure.
Remember what contract you signed. We had a purchase order for some, transcribing, and we went over the purchase order amount by $249.44. I need to get an order to pay the amount over the purchase order.
But we did have a PO.
Yes, we did.
Need a motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor? 5 of them.
Payment of credit card charges in the amount of
Motion by
one.
Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? All right. 5.
Okay, and the last one I have is payment claims docket. Claims numbers listed and the amount listed.
Need, does anybody, well, I need a motion and a second to pay the bills.
So moved.
Got a second, or a motion by Howard, second by Train. All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0. She's abstaining. Pass this county business supervisors. I'll start with, Supervisor Miller. Good. Supervisor Williams. Supervisor Howard.
Yeah, a couple of things. The first one is, we're getting ready to hire a fire coordinator. And we had talked about this position a little bit. If we wanted to keep it the same or maybe look at it and do a little revamping to it. One thing I would like to do, I would like to meet with all the fire chiefs and sort of talk to them and get their input as to if this position has evolved and sort of get some ideas from them and look at the position as it is and sort of get some input from the board as to what we might want to do and which way we might want to be going with it. Is there any way we can kind of pull together, call the fire chiefs and see when they can sort of meet?
Could they come to our meeting? That'd be a question. And then
Yeah, they could. I mean,
Probably should have
they
done this
could.
before we received all the applications.
Well, I mean, I don't
I don't
really
want it
see
to
what
look
that's
like
a
we're
problem.
catering to a certain application.
That's why we're talking to the fire chiefs to sort of get some input from them. I mean, all we're doing right now, it doesn't matter about the applications. I would just like to look and see if it's time to revamp this position. What the fire chiefs, you know, sort of over the years, how has this evolved, and if they think there should be something else done in, I would just like to have some input from fire chiefs, boards, you know, just talking about the position.
You're not talking about recommending a candidate?
No, absolutely not.
He's talking more in,
Characteristics of whether full-time, part-time, that.
Yeah,
That sort of thing, right.
Full-time, part-time, and, yeah, some
Right, that sort of
responsibilities.
thing. No, we're not catering to any
Cool.
I'd
candidate.
be glad to have them first with the security coordinator.
Well, ask them if they
It'd probably be
could.
a good idea.
They're gonna
to
be
have
a-
it at the
that's
evening
important.
meetings, since some of them want.
Okay. Sounds good. Second thing is, I just want to talk to the board. In our last term, I felt like we had three major issues that needed addressing. Blackjack Road was one of them, Longview Road was one of them, and the County Lake Dam was one of them. I feel like those were three pressing issues, and we've got two of them taken care of now. I've been on pins and needles since this rain started because the lake again was back to full capacity. I mean, it filled up, had pressure back on the levee, and it's getting to the point to where it's just a matter of time before something happens out there. And I think it's time for this board to get serious, and I mean, and I'm not talking about delaying for another year. I'm saying we need to start looking at taking some immediate action to address this issue out there. Now, myself and our county engineer, Mr. Pritchett, and our EMA director, Ms. Kristen Campanella, we've been doing quite a bit of legwork. We've been to Jackson several times, meeting and talking with possible funding sources, and we made some headway. We hadn't found anybody that says, here's $8 million, go do it. What we've pretty much arrived to the point is all the agencies are gonna be expecting and looking for us to put some skin in the game first, to let them know that we're serious about it. Then I think you'll start to see some help start to come in. But at this point, we've got sort of a plan together that we think might work. And Kristen, I don't know if you want to talk about it now or wait till Clyde and just let's give a little bit more information and maybe get Clearwater up here and we all have this discussion together.
Clearwater would need to explain what their process was.
Yeah. So I'm gonna propose to the board that at the next meeting that we have Clearwater and maybe the other agency that we spoke with, if they can send a representative up to address the board, because again, it's time to get something done out there. We've got too many young kids with the buses traveling across, sort of patched up bridge type deal, leaking levee out there, no way to control the water, lake is back full capacity, and if it breaks, something serious is gonna happen. So it's time I feel like it's time we address two of the major issues, and I think it's time that we address this third major issue out there. So at the next meeting, maybe we'll have all of the parties involved here to have a discussion about it.
Hey, just a question, are those pipes that we install,
Not doing anything.
are they still flowing?
We tried to get them, but they've, apparently the seals or something has dry rotted.
It's
so
the hydraulic, it's not picking it.
It can't get suction anymore
it's
to
not-
get, right.
It's like a straw with a hole in the middle.
Right, you can't get ciphering started anymore. And you know, even with those pipes, it still took a long
Yeah, it
time
wasn't
to
keeping
drain
up
that
with it.
water
I was
out.
just seeing, was that part of it still?
Yeah.
So did they glue those sections? Did they glue them together? I
At
remember
the
when they
time,
put them together that day.
yeah, at the time when they did it, which was what, 4 years?
4 years ago,
4 years
Mr. Robert
ago,
just
maybe.
left. He was the one, I remember,
Yeah.
I helped him hold one, and it was,
They glued them together and they were able to pull a, sort of archaic, but able to pull a truck up with a little suction pump on it and sort of get them ciphering over and they ran. The problem with that, every now and then you suck one of those big carp fish up in there and it would stop it up and you have to try to get him out and restart it. But we just need to address this issue because with what Clyde has proposed and the specs and the drawings, we put in a huge gate valve so that we can control this water. Right now, we just sort of, at the mercy of letting it slowly go down. I mean, now it'll probably take, and they're talking about rain coming back in. At this point, it'll probably take close to a month to get it back down now. But then, when it rains like it rained this past 2 days, it's back to full capacity. I mean, it's a serious issue, and seriously, it's time to address it. It really is. It's time to address it. So maybe at our next meeting, we'll do all we can to pull together everybody that needs to be involved in this conversation and talk to the board. So that's all I've got.
Supervisor Trainer?
Well, a laundry list of things. First of all, a couple of them are here under the county business. I'd like to make the recommendation that we reappoint Kennedy Neal back to the airport board. And I think I'm made aware that there's another person that needs to be reappointed, another person whose term is expired.
Well, I have a hospital board appointment. I'm down to my final 2 candidates. I'll know
I mean,
by next meeting.
on the airport board.
Oh,
I know Kennedy Nail's appointment it expired last March, and I'm sure the other person is probably fixing to expire, but I don't know that it's expired yet.
Right. So do we want to deal with both of them at the same time?
One of them's a 1-year appointment, and the other one I think is a 2 or more.
I think it would be important too to reach out to the airport board and see.
The city has been contacting me about us having this lapse in an appointment. And
So I'd like to make the motion, we reappoint Kennedy Neal and also reappoint Audie Hughes.
Second.
got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard. Any more discussion on that?
And what was the second person's name?
I think it's Audie Hughes.
I think his is a 2-year term.
And I'm assuming they flip, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a rotating.
So will, Kennedy Nail go 2 years and Mr. Hughes
Yes,
go 1 year?
it's sort of, it rotates like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
One other thing, I think we need to, I agree with what you said on the lake, but my perspective on the lake deals, I think the lake can pay for itself with the improvements if the county were to assume it. And I still think we ought to consider that, assuming the lake and making the lake pay for the improvements that are needed that will benefit all the citizens of our county. I think we can make that work, so I agree with what you're saying about the lake. Also, this is a new term. Board, I think we need to issue some new bonds to do some more road work. I think the program that we did last term was successful. We did run into some challenges, and I think that we are aware of those challenges, and I think that we can correct those challenges. But I think we seriously need to look in our capacity and see if we got some capacity to generate some additional monies. Look at it from two perspectives. One would be no millage increase, and the other perspective would be with a slight millage increase or a reasonable millage increase, should the board decide to do that. So I hope that we would consider that. The next item is dealing with the county school situation with the buildings. I want us to take that back under consideration. I think Mr. Dr. Thomas asked us about that, and I think that's something that we had hanging over from our last term. Also into this term, dealing with the drainage. The 800-pound gorilla in the room dealing with drainage is the development of the county. And I know that we've been a little shy about dealing with zoning and land use developments and other things. But this county is growing so fast to where when people are developing their property, it's causing an adverse action somewhere else. And I think that's a prime example of Mr. Kane's case, where someone improved their property, so they thought, and it caused an issue for someone else. So it may be to the point where we may need to look at bringing Mr. Slaughter back and helping us look at, some things that will help us to manage the growth in Octavia County and be a little bit better prepared when these things come up. And the next thing, I would like to make a motion that we increase the salaries for certain elected officials, all supervisors, justice court judges, county attorney, and other persons whose salary is connected with the supervisor, increase it 3%, which is allowable by law. That's a motion.
Got a motion by Supervisor Trainer that was just, your motion was just for the salaries.
Yeah, salary, motion for the salary.
Supervisor Trainer made that motion. Got a second?
I second that.
Second by Supervisor Williams. All those in favor, or any discussion, rather?
Yeah, this discussion on it. Before I vote in favor of doing this, I'd like to, our county administrator to kind of see what the cost of this increase will be, before I vote in favor of doing it. Is there any way you can give us a cost, maybe?
From 44.7 to 46, 44 something, it's what, 2,000, a little over $2,000 per position, so that's supervisor would be 10, register court judges would be 6, Haley would be 8, Rob would be 10, and I think that's it for them. 10 plus 17.40 and state retirement 7.65. 25% of the 10, 2,500 more
So
for benefits.
22, 23,
Mm-hmm.
like that total.
Less than $15,000 a year.
We had passed.
It's been 10 years since, yeah.
And I did build it into the county budget when I did the budget.
Okay, all right. I'm comfortable with that.
Any more discussion on that? All those in favor?
I don't want to vote for guys for you. So how do we do that?
Vote against?
I don't want to vote against other people, but I don't want to vote against a raise for me. I don't
You
wanna
can
vote for a raise for
decline it,
me.
you can decline the raise like Daniel did.
I don't think
Just-
you
No,
can.
it didn't
He's
decline.
been
Well, he took it and
He
donated.
donated.
Gave it to, the Heritage Museum
Yeah.
for the 1 year.
Well, then I'm on-
He did.
I guess abstain, and then I can do whatever I need to do.
Motion passes for,
4-0.
Mr. President,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I did have something
Okay.
that I'd like to interject. I think we have talked long enough about employing Mississippi Tombigbee Waterway Management to help us with resolving some of the creek problems that we have. The longer we delay, the more problems we're gonna have. And to me, it's not good enough just to hire someone to do it one time, because this is an ongoing problem. Every time there's a storm come about, we don't know what's going on downstream. We know what's taking place, what we see along the highway, along the roadway. But we don't really know what's in these creeks as we go downstream, and we're not going downstream. And I think we've done enough research to be able to know what we need to know about Mississippi Tom Bigby Waterway Management. We do know that this is an ongoing contract deal. So I'm gonna motion for that we move forward with employing Mississippi Tom Bigby Waterway Management to take care of some of our creek problems.
After they came, didn't we have weren't there some concerns about
Well,
that?
the
that we haven't
concern,
discussed
I think
yet?
we have-
was we wouldn't be able to get out of it if we got in it,
That's the
but,
only concern that we had.
but.
I thought it was the number of projects that they had actually successfully completed too, was one of the
No,
concerns.
that
Well, the discussion, and the gentleman that's over it, I won't name names, called me because I was pretty vocal about that I'm not, I understand that there's a problem, but I don't, my personal opinion, that's not the solution. It very well may be, but it was, I had hesitations in something that's, once you're in it, you're in forever. And he called me, and I was very open. He was very, I mean, it was a very cordial conversation, but it was a matter-of-fact conversation. And I'm not for anything, in other words, if I put in $1, I want at least $1 back, or somewhere close to that or more, you know, for the taxpayers of Oktibbeha County. And, you know, we were discussing different counties that they were in that had, you know, success, a lot of projects done in their county, but then there are others that have not. And I asked, you know, overall, you know, the return on your dollar, you know, what was that for the area that is represented that we would be in? And it was 48 cents on the dollar is what the average county gets back. So if we put in $1, on average, we're gonna get back 48 cents. And there's no guarantee that we'll get any projects. There are other, you know, and I understand the need. I'm somewhere in the middle, but, I just wasn't comfortable with it at that point, and I'm still not. So I understand it
Can we
if others
not,
are, but.
before we move forward on that, and I'm just asking this, can we not put out some type of bid to see if there's other options besides that? If there's not private companies that we could look at hiring, you know, to go down through there that we put contract dates on? I mean, this program, like I said, there's no guarantees that even if we approve it, that we're gonna get a project out of it.
Some counties got 2% back, and that was literally paperwork for, you know, and that, there's no guarantees here, and
We can
a
always
little more careful
put out for bids, but we did find out when Clyde and Christian and myself were in Jackson, we did find out that you actually can get out of it. That was a county, he told us back up north. It was a county back up north that was able to get out of it.
Panola or Southern.
Yeah,
Was
somewhere.
that when they didn't have any debt or something? There was originally a stipulation in there that as long as they had debt, a county could not get out of it, but during the period where they didn't have any debt, that a county could get out of it if the other counties allowed them to get out of it.
And that could have been it. We didn't get all of the particulars about it and the details about it, but they were able to get out of it. Sound like from when he was talking to us, sound like they had a huge surplus in the budget. Sound like that's what he was saying.
They had a huge surplus?
The water district.
Tom Bigby.
When they were talking to us, did he not say that they had millions in the budget?
Well, I didn't get that far, to be quite honest with you. I was already, but I don't recall that, but he may have.
Seemed like,
Seemed like
because
he
I
said
was
he had-
asking him
He
about,
had the monies available
right,
and the resources available, and I understand that. But another part of what gave me pause in that is, you know, we talk about, you know, when you pull leaves out of a culvert, that they're gonna go right back in. When they come and clean your, ditch or your creek or what have you out, they just cut that down, they set it in a pile right to the side of it. It's up to us and the landowner, because we still have to go and get right of entry from the landowner. The landowner can, if I'm correct, I may not be now, can almost say, hey, you county, you caused this pile of debris right here, so it could be on us to either burn it or, you know, I think we're kind of running into some issues there, or remove it from that site. So it just, I'm not saying it's not a good deal, but there are just still some unanswered questions.
The gentleman just texted
I
me about
understand, I guess we have to sort of,
Can we not get grant money like we did the last couple of times that we did a drainage project?
that would be great if we could.
Now, we've been trying, like Sunset, I've been trying to get that,
Yeah, NRC.
for the drainage, and you gotta get 80% of signatures on there, and I had several doors slammed on my face. I'm just trying to help.
Well, see, that grant we got, we didn't have to get signatures for that one. That was sort of some of the special money, earmark type money.
CRS got after us, and I noticed once before, I went to looking for something not too long ago, and
Yes,
the county had gotten that money before for ditching projects. So that was
Okay.
not the only ditching project that what the county had ever done. It had
Now,
done it previously.
we did find out we got a pretty good friend in NRCS. We did find that out. So, yeah, so,
But if there's no more discussion, any more discussion on this, guys?
I guess,
We do have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yeah.
So, I'm just telling you,
I'm still
I'm not
straddling
gonna
the
kick
fence
in the
on
butts,
this.
but
I just
I'm not
ain't
over it.
quite.
I think we need to, my recommendation would be is us look, see if there's any other options, just simply because we are pausing a little bit because we have concerns. And we want results. If we get into something, we want results. So I would just ask that we maybe look at any other options that there are out there before.
Well, here's what and to Supervisor Miller's and Howard's point, you know, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll all be down in Jackson. I mean, I'm gonna go seek out people to try to see if I can answer those questions. May not get an answer, but I'm certainly gonna ask. So, but again, we have a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer, to approve the Tom Bigby Water Association going in contracts with them. So we do need to take a vote on that. So all in favor? 2-4. All opposed? Motion fails 2-3. But
Can I make a comment?
the two that did vote for this, it is a valid need. These are some answers that we need to go down to Jackson, seek out on the state level, federal level, like Supervisor Miller is saying, see if there's a private company, just explore all options. I think Supervisor Howard even said, and he said it best, is this is something we need to even have a workshop on, just drainage period, a drainage workshop. This is just one facet of that we face, you know, as a county. But motion does fail on that. Any more?
Well, I would like to add that I do believe I need to honestly consider applying for a grant to do it.
Yeah, we need to contact
County's got
NRCS.
to, come in and match it. I'll go ahead and get a grant to do it.
Well, and that's something that, and Miss Phyllis is good, you know, at sniffing out those grants like that,
But it's CRS, money.
I think we owe the peoples of Oktibbeha County a solution. If that's not the solution, we should come up with a solution.
I agree. Anything else? Well, this is, if not, I'll see each of you down in Jackson. I guess that would be- Yeah, so I need a motion and a second to recess until our January 20th meeting at 5:30.
That's a holiday.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we
I
got
wanna
some.
see if y'all had a chance to look at that, shelter.
Oh,
safe
about
room.
the shelter, I did, I looked through it, issues that you ran into. You wanna discuss it now, or let's go?
Y'all
Yeah,
had a chance to look
Come
at
on
it.
up here.
Yeah.
And see.
Yeah,
I guess first of all, thank you for
Thank
my
you.
reappointment. I look forward to working with y'all another year.
So very deserved.
Thank
Keep
you.
us on our toes. Jarvis back there, like I said, he.
Yeah, I've got a good one.
You got a shadow, I'm telling you.
I've got a good one.
He's a good one.
Well, like I said, we've opened it twice, and we've got to get a plan together about how we're gonna open it. Our biggest concerns is security and who's gonna work it. I know I gave y'all my laundry list of requests, but
And, one of the largest social media complaints that I've gotten is not allowing pets. And I think that's something that we saw with Katrina, is people will not leave their pets. I'm not gonna leave my pet to go to a shelter. I think that maybe we need to adopt a rule that they have to be kenneled, that they have to have a kennel. I'm okay with that, but unless there's some liability issue that we don't know about.
What about a service dog?
Well, service dogs
that's
are
what
already
we've,
allowed.
that's what we've got, that's what we've always said, we would allow service dogs. They have to either be kenneled or on leash. It's the responsibility of the owner the entire
They still take
time.
liability if somebody gets bit or what have
Yeah,
you, right?
it's their responsibility, yeah.
On that own.
I had a lady tell me she'd leave her husband before she'd leave her dog.
And we had some show up this last time with pets, and so we're not gonna turn them away, if they show up at the shelter. So, I mean, yeah, we need to address
If a
that
dog's being
too.
vicious, I mean, I'm sorry, if
Yeah.
they're snapping and biting at children, then that's security,
Right, but
issue.
that's
Well,
what I'm
I don't
saying.
think they should be allowed in the door if they're not in a kennel.
Kennel, that's what I'm saying, but, as long as we put that out there, that they're, I have kennels that they have to be kenneled. And that eliminates that still allows people to bring their pets with them.
Then what type of pets are we talking about?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think you gotta limit it too on, because some people may have a pet snake or a pet, whatever. So you may
So they
wanna
can't
try
bring their
to.
aquarium?
Yeah, I'm saying, so you may wanna, somebody
Well, see,
consider their
let me-
horse or
let me ask you this.
their cow,
What
you get
What
into,
about a cat? I'm highly allergic to
yeah.
cats.
And so that's
Somebody
another
comes in,
concern. If you
somebody
do
comes in with a
allow,
cat, I'm gonna be out.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just telling you.
And that's another concern. So if we, even the service animals, I think we need to have some type of partition, and I hate to separate, but I think that we probably need to. If we're gonna have 1,500 people there, there's gonna be a majority of them that's gonna be allergic to animals.
Because you're limiting
The space.
For other people.
Well, see, that's the whole thing on the shelter too. We're supposed to have 1,500 people. So then once you start getting, say, 500 people bring kennels, now you're taking up people space.
And you're taking up space.
So, yeah.
If you're particularly.
So it's a lot of-
When they bring the service animals in, are we checking cards? No.
That's something I want y'all to tell me what to do.
You know, I've got.
We gotta
I've got-
see what the state and what the federal allow.
A lot of,
before
I
we
tell you, a
can-
lot of.
We can make a decision.
Yeah. A lot of the safe rooms of this size and the way this is built do not allow pets. I mean, they'll only allow service animals. But, I mean, y'all, this is y'all's
State and-
shelter, so however y'all wanna do
State
it's
and
fine
federal
with me.
doesn't allow it, then how can we supersede? Can we supersede state and federal regulations then, in relation to that?
I mean,
The only-
you gotta be blind or something like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
service okay, service
For it
animals
really
okay.
truly be a service animal.
But then how are you gonna prove it's a service animal? Are we gonna check their
Well, now,
registrations
they
when they
usually
come in? I mean,
documentation on the animal. I'm saying, I got a buddy that works on the pipeline. When he comes back, doesn't matter if he gets in your brand new truck, him and his dog are coming. And he's got documentation on the dog.
and is it
I've
with
got-
them while they're at Walmart? If they're out at Walmart and the sirens go off and they come to the
Yeah,
shelter, have they got
yeah.
all that documentation with them when they come?
Supposed to be
Well,
on
you're
the dog.
it's supposed to be on the dog, like, for example, this last weekend I was in an event, we don't allow pets, but the dog came in and had its card on the side. So you just check the card, it was for emotional distress, and the dog is allowed in the
They
facility.
But
don't
now-
have that documentation on the dog, and they're not.
To what type of service
Well,
animal
listen,
I'm buying it.
I've got three dogs. Strictly Business, Duchess, and the franchise. Love them to death. Love my dogs, I always have loved dogs. But let me tell you something. If I can get my family and need to a shelter,
Yeah.
you know, then yeah,
My
my
dog
dogs.
had to take care of himself.
Maybe I can open the kennel and let them out and hope they can fend for themselves, but
Yeah, open the kennel and let them
You
out.
wanna be with the pets, you need to stay home with your pets.
that's sort, and, you know, it's sort of sound insensitive, but, you know, when it
Not
comes to
really.
life and death,
Not really, we talking life and death.
man, let's, you know, we don't want anybody not to be able to get in shelter because we got too many kennels and dogs and.
Yeah, that's, what do we do if somebody shows up with 6 horses and they're all in kennels?
Yeah, that's, they consider that their
Yeah,
pet.
they love their horse.
I'm just saying, it could be a big old trailer that
What do you
goes.
say a kennel
You gonna
is?
try to save your horse.
A horse trailer.
The only thing I don't know is that we put in the grant, and it is a grant, so we have to follow the grant
Yeah, we have to
outline.
follow it. We
And
have
so
to.
it says 1,585 or 89 people.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be there 5 square feet per person. So if you start bringing
And it's
in,
more than that if they're handicapped.
yeah, I think it's 10 if they're handicapped.
I'm just going, my vote's gonna be to say certified service dogs. That's-
Or, just disabled, disability.
Sure.
Here's the problem that we had. All of a sudden, you uptown and the sirens go off and you got your food. Well, you go running down there and when you get to that door, we say, oh, sorry, you can't come in here with this dog. And then if we turn them away and they go get in the vehicle and something happens to them when they leaving, and they say, well, I went to the shelter and they wouldn't let me in because I was uptown having my food with me. So, I mean, it's a problem down there because, first of all, you got everybody trying to go in that one drive to try to get in there and park, and it's dark. You know, I got to have some lighting down there. You know, I talked with him and like that, but, it's not gonna be just one set of rules, cause you're gonna have all kind of rules. They gonna see somebody come in with a service dog, and they gonna sit there and argue with you, well, you just let that guy in, and now you won't let me in on my food. You know, so it's a problem, but, I mean, rules are rules, but somebody's gonna have to say and be enforced, but it's gonna be some problems if you start turning people away.
When you announce that the shelter's open,
Yeah, announce
it needs to be announced that service animals only, pets are not allowed.
I think that was picked up pretty heavily on Twitter the first time it was opened, and social media.
Yeah, 'cause
And
we
that's
did, we
where-
put that out, how they would.
And so that was a lot of response to that.
Yeah.
I just heard somebody whisper back there, and maybe you were addressing that. What about firearm, gun? Bringing a gun?
Yeah, we haven't looked at that yet either.
Can you bring a firearm in something like that, in an emergency situation?
Well, you got concealed
Yeah,
carry.
you can.
Certified carrier.
Well,
And
that
the thing
goes-
about it, though, you're not gonna be searching these folks. I mean, you're
Yeah.
trying to get people in there.
It's,
That's true.
the tornado's coming.
Well, and the bad thing too is you got all these elderly people that you trying to get in there and it's pouring down raining and lightning and you trying to get these old folks in there, trying to keep them from falling and all that. You know, I mean, it's just
But could we not, and I know we're not gonna search everybody, but could we not just put up something, say no firearms? I mean, I'm thinking, you start crowding them many
You need to
people
research
into a
that.
place,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
tempers
We tried that in
might flare.
We tried that in courthouse, that didn't work,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, but maybe just a sign it, again,
Just some
but you know, when
legal-
you start putting them many people in one location and you start cramming people in.
Prefer you not to bring your gun.
Yeah.
Everybody in here is passionate over here.
Well, maybe we can just put a sign up, you know, that might deter a few of them.
Well, that was my next thing. So security is an issue, because if you've got 1,500 people, somebody's gonna have a disagreement with somebody else. There's sex offenders, there's, different people that could be in the same room. So my thing is, we gotta have some type of security. Sheriff's Department helped us these last 2 times, but they're overwhelmed, they're short-staffed.
What about
So I don't know.
Star Wars? Would that be a question we could ask?
I mean, I think we
to
could,
the
but
city?
the only thing I look at is if we had something, if it hit and it went citywide across Starkville, across the county, those are gonna be needed in the field
That's what I'm saying.
to help pull people out. So I don't think we can really depend on
this
Sheriff's
would
Department. I mean,
almost
they've
be a
helped us a
mutual
lot,
aid
but I
type
don't think they
of
have the
thing.
staff to do it either.
See, that was my problem last time. I had four
Yeah.
guys out, we had power lines and trees down
Yeah.
on Addison Self Creek Road, where they calling for me to send somebody to the safe room. Well, now I got to get somebody from out there, you know, and if it's
And they gotta come through all that
and
too.
if it's
Yeah.
county-wide, then I'm fixing to have to call everybody I can get my hands on out to go work.
And we've said that we would open it when a watch is issued, when a tornado watch is issued. Well, your watch may be issued for 6 hours before you actually get a warning. So if a watch is issued and we open it, somebody has to be there the entire time.
All right, does
So now
other
you've got-
does other counties open theirs for just a watch? Because it's mine, as I remember all this, you're only accounting for people that could walk there within a 5-minute period.
Yeah.
And so we're not supposed to be sitting there taking people in for all day for them to come and go. It's in a safe room for short term, and they're supposed to be able to get there within 5 minutes, and it closes down.
When the storm's over, you
So-
gotta go, right.
But
So-
everyone that I've looked at, that's their procedure, just because it's easier, because if you get a warning, it may be at Choctaw, TV Online, you ain't got time to rush everybody that needs to be there, the staff and the security, and everybody to get there before people are lined up out the door.
And these
So it's
people are not gonna
easier at a
walk in.
watch.
Well,
No, they're
that's
not
what it's
walking.
for. I mean, that's,
I understand that.
that's the
Yeah.
size
Yeah,
that we
they're
got,
not.
is
Yeah.
because they had to be able to get there
Yeah, that's the
within 5
population
minutes.
numbers we had to use,
But
yeah.
they're not gonna jump out there and it's pouring down rain and walk.
Did they say get there, or did they say walk there?
Within 5 minutes.
Get
Walk
there,
there within 5 minutes.
get there.
Is this something we can ask Chief Ballard?
Is it get there within,
Walk there.
walk there?
Yeah, I think we can ask, but one thing we had talked about too is even the possibility of maybe bailiffs. Cause if their court is not going on, and I said, cause it's the same thing with the city. I mean, I would love for their assistance, but if we have something, they're gonna need their officers too to be out blocking
We
roads.
still need some
and-
representation from
Yeah.
the sheriff and the city, and then, like I said, the bailiffs on top of that. Am I wrong in that?
No, and you may even wanna do a security company, if you wanna contract with the security company and they only come into work
When that,
when it's when we do those watches. I mean, there's
You gotta
just some
have
options.
Some compensation numbers attached to that, or would you just sort of decide what we'd probably have to pay?
As far as my list of wants,
Uh-huh.
no, I
Security
I didn't have anything yet. I think at least 2 people for security, one outside, one inside. His guys done a great job. We had a lot of elderly that come up. They were helping them get out of cars. They were toting babies in, and so they're tied up outside. Well, then we also need somebody inside, while those
What if
people are
something
coming
breaks
in.
out on the
Yeah.
inside?
Cause you get 1,500 people.
Well, we give some organizations, that some volunteer organizations, we give them funding. And so it's,
Maybe, yeah.
we kind of think some of these volunteer organizations that get funding would be willing to help the county in these
I mean, everybody's kinda all hands on deck in an emergency situation, they just need to have.
And this last time, like I said, I was out of town. Jarvis and Kendra were both working the shelter too, where we get overwhelmed at just the call volumes too, so it's not like we can go work the shelter either, because if something happens, we're
I
busy.
hate to ask you to tweak this, but could you, between now and next meeting, maybe look at the legal aspects with Rob? and
That's why I kinda wanted to see what all y'all
see
wanted
what
me to.
Chief Ballard and the sheriff can come
Okay.
up with, the bailiffs. I mean, I guess, do you pay them their daily rate when they come in on call? I mean, how would that
And then
work?
who's paying them? Is that my budget or your budget?
I'm sure it would probably be our budget, it's our safe room, so.
That's
but,
all I was thinking.
Are there some other things that we need to purchase ASAP? Ms. Garrett, Ms. Campanella, chairs, or what do we need to pass order today to
We got
purchase?
to
and
look
things we
at
need to-
all the legal ramifications on how much stuff we put in there, and how much stuff it's gonna, space it's gonna take up, because you can't take up space with stuff.
It's almost like, I don't know if we need a storage outside, if we start buying chairs or tables or whatever, to store all of that, because we can't store it inside, you have to have that open space.
We have direct access on that property from where it's at in proximity to our central shop.
I
We
don't
can go
think-
straight.
It's the fence, I think,
South.
in the back of that. Isn't there a fence, I think, behind it?
To be able to store something like, come out that back.
What we're eventually gonna have to do after this is approved and accepted from FEMA is we need to build onto it We need some office space built onto it.
Yeah.
We need some storage space built onto it. We need a canopy coming across the comp so folks won't have to go through in the rain. And so that's a lot that needs to be done, but there wasn't money for it to do it at this point. So that's was the long-term plan for it. And once you get this area that's gonna be funded completely by the county, then you can put people in there. You can do what you want to with it. But it's this area that's funded by FEMA that you can't do what FEMA says.
Okay.
Like Supervisor Trainer was saying, we just need to, I guess, get our wish list together, get a budget in
Some
mind
pricing on all that.
these different items.
A generator is a big thing too. We don't have a generator.
Big thing, but she's gonna get that donated.
Yeah, we tried to get that donated, that didn't work out.
But our stuff does have battery backup to it and everything.
Just if it goes off, I mean, if you're in there for 3 or 4 hours, that's why I put the flashlights,
Yeah,
you know,
there's
just.
that. And there's some parking lot lights, the city needs to come down with their street lights.
It's dark, I'm telling you,
And it
it's dark.
would be
Muddy.
nice if it was a
Not
paved
very
parking
much,
lot.
but that parking lot probably fill up pretty quick too.
But
doesn't
it
it?
does. And it's just like the issue with the chairs, and I don't know how that works, but you take these people 80 years old,
that's
come
right.
in there
That was
to ask
my
them to
concern.
stand up for 2 hours. You know, some of them got health issues anyway, and, you know, I mean, that's tough there.
We've asked when we put it out for everybody to bring a chair, but like you said, if you're at Walmart, you ain't got all that stuff in your car, you're just going, so we need some type of.
So, do we need to let people access the safe room now?
You need to let them access the safe room, but it needs to be where they realize that they gotta bring their own chair until we can get an idea of, what we can keep in there, what we can't keep in there. But yes, they need to be allowed to access it.
Well, this issue needs to be priority. We need to be working on this today, this evening, and whatever we need to do, because the liability part is what scares me. Of course, you all know where we are with that. And so we need to, whatever we need to research and come back and make some decisions. Whatever we need to do, we need to just get it done. So FEMA has not given us,
No, FEMA has not came in and did their last
Inspection.
inspection.
Thought it came down to FEMA though.
So we need to pray a lot right now.
FEMA first, then FEMA.
MEMO come first, yeah. MEMO come in and
Yes,
look
sir.
at it, then they'll send their report to FEMA of what all they find or whatever, and then FEMA will have to approve it.
well, we appreciate what y'all done so far.
Pray a lot and sort of wing it right now until we can work.
So that's
through
why we
this
got
again.
more storms this weekend. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything severe, but there's a lot of rain, but you never know with weather, something happens, so we just keep on going like we're going.
Well, we'll see about getting the lights in the parking lot and down the street and see where we can put them, if you don't mind, because I don't know how close we can put them. If we have to worry about them falling over, hit folks on the head.
Are there
that sort of
cars
stuff.
or, yeah.
Yeah. So let's
Okay.
do that, and then we'll check about a generator and we'll
Um,
get some folding chairs.
Yeah. Yeah, well, seating was always my concern too. I mean, I can stand up for a while, but we got some people that's not gonna make it. It's not gonna make it. If we can't store chairs, we can haul in chairs. And I don't know whether we can have the road department bring some chairs in for temporarily and take them back until we get it resolved.
Right here at that door between the bathrooms,
A closet.
well, we don't have a closet, but we can store stuff, you know, from the bathroom doors back to that outside door.
So much it can be stored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And put stuff down, until they tell us we can't.
Yeah.
All right.
I got one other thing, I don't know if y'all probably.
Who gonna buy the chair?
Rob, do we need to go into executive
Well,
session,
you need to
given what was in the
I mean, you need,
I'll get all that together.
I don't think
for
we
the
need to
next
go
board
into
meeting.
executive
you need a
session.
few,
because I
you
was
need a
gonna
few
address
chairs.
that
Yeah,
in just a
okay.
second.
Okay,
Just
okay,
to-
good deal.
some
All right,
people,
good deal.
Because it
some
was
of these
already in
people
the
too old.
newspaper.
Okay,
They're
okay,
old
good
and don't
enough.
have the help, to be able to stand up.
I'll get some pricing also.
And you want to
Thank
waive
you, Chris.
Thank you.
service line?
Thank you, Kristen.
Tell you what, let's just go into executive session, that's not a bad idea.
All right, need a motion and a second for an executive session for personnel matters.
So move.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams, all in favor.
Yeah. Let's take a break first.
And came out, took no action, in executive session. That being said, We need to adjourn until, because of the holiday on the 20th, we need to go on the 21st of January at 5:30. So we need a motion and a second to adjourn until then, unless anybody has any other discussion. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller. All those in favor? Motion carries. We'll see you on the 21st.
Y'all have a great day.
All right. Is it tomorrow that start, the midwinter conference starts?
Well, if you're on the committee, I'm gonna go down tomorrow night.
Okay, okay.
So